Japan have said some things about your scrum this week. Were you surprised by that? And can you just talk us through your response?
Okay. Firstly, Gomenasai, Minasan Konnichiwa. Yeah, I mean, I think it was probably one of the younger players in the squad. You know, it can be daunting being a player coming out with media, and you know, we've all been in that position where sometimes you say things and you know, it might have been in-house, but for us, we pride ourselves as a team, and it's probably something that Joe has driven as one of our mantras right from the start with Ireland, is to be the most disciplined team in world rugby. And to be fair, that the players, after working with them for so long, I think how they go about their business in terms of discipline is world class, and some of their discipline, you know, I'd say in the last 20 years you wouldn't see a team that's so hard on being disciplined. So around that, like, you know, there's always going to be the odd occasion where particularly front rowers are going to disagree on things, or referees might not get it right, but that's just part of the game. And media as well, you know, you might read stuff, hear stuff, but in this type of competition, you have to just be focused on our systems, our processes, and backing our players to do the thing that they're most used to doing, and that's been disciplined rugby players.
Greg, how's Jack Conan doing, and when exactly do you expect him to be back, and what's the issue with him?
At this stage, Jack, it's just a wait and see. So we're going to get obviously some opinions on that over the next couple of days, and then go from there. You know, it's a little bit, I suppose, a little bit of a setback at this stage, but I think once we get the game out of the way and we get the reports in from medical and he gets assessed fully, then we'll probably have some more information on that, and probably after the game, I'd say.
We'll take in the middle here.
グレッグさんにお伺いします。日経新聞の谷口です。日本のスクラムはロシア戦で非常にいいスクラムを組んでいたと思うんですけれども、グレッグさんの目から見て日本のスクラムの印象はどのように感じてますか？
Yeah, I think over the last couple of seasons there's been a real emphasis of getting into absolute international standard from top league standard, and you can see that even in the South African game, I thought they actually put some pressure on a couple of times. My knowledge on Japanese scrummaging goes back probably 12 years ago, maybe longer, 15 years ago. There's a real culture around scrum. A lot of the companies will travel 2 hours to have live scrum sessions against each other. And there seems to be a real passion and knowledge, a thirst to get better in it. And I think it suits the Japanese as well in terms of how they want to play a game. We have been staying near Yamaha, and Yamaha, Jubilo, the top league team, have been one of the best in the top league for years. And they've had one of the best scrums for years as well in the top league. So I think we're under no illusions that this week will be tough, knowing the proud nature of Japanese rugby.
In the middle here.
Is that better?
グレッグさんに引き続きお伺いします。おそらく今の話ですと日本代表のどういうスクラムを組んでどういう特徴があるかっていうのをかなり把握されていると思うんですけれども、ある程度どう攻略するかっていうのは頭の中でイメージ終わりでしょうか？
はい。The Japanese obviously like to scrum really low and really compact as a unit, you know, and you can see over the last few years, for years now, that's been probably their strength. The dynamic part of their scrummaging is good, and my experience is that the Japanese player are very strong in the upper body, and like I said, a lot of that is to do with the pride they take in it. And obviously, as coaches, we try to come up with a plan, but you just have to see how that goes.
In the front here, please.
Garry, you played here in 2017. What challenges do you remember specifically Japan giving you then?
Yeah, it was in this stadium as well. I think that just the tempo they play at is certainly one thing amongst others. The physicality they brought as well was another big thing that I know after the game was a few bumps and bruises, and we had to try and regroup for the following week. So it'll be incredibly physical, I've no doubt. Yeah, they've obviously the skill and pace out wide, like challenge us backs. But if you focus too much on that and worry too much about the front line, they've an incredibly strong attacking kicking game. And that's finding space through short kicks along the ground or challenging in the air with up and under. So tactically, I think they're very smart on how to play the game in the right areas. So it'll be a combination of a couple of things that I've no doubt they'll bring. And from 2 years ago, they're definitely a different beast to what they were now. So we're under no illusion to how much stronger and how much better they are probably from the day we would have played them.
In the front.
Greg, looking at the Ireland teams throughout 2019 so far, there's been 3 different combinations in the back 3. I think it's 3 different second row combinations and 7 different back row combinations. Do you think we're nearing a state now where there's going to be a more settled nature in those positions?
I'll just put this one in. I think with that, what you get is you get really good continuity through changes in personnel. So if you look at last World Cup and the learnings from that is you want to try and get as many players, albeit through injuries or form, onto that same page. So one of my philosophies is that nothing changes when there's a replacement, and we just see those as positives. And so getting continuity sometimes in their clubs is where they learn. Like Ring and Robbie probably have little cues that they've probably picked off each other without even to say anything, and they've learned that in their clubs as well. And you can't, sometimes you can't make that happen. It just evolves. And that's where we can try and grow that in our environment. And when you're on World Cup, you're away from home, you get those little conversations that can be the added extra as well. So in terms of what you're saying, I think we're pretty happy with whoever slots in. We're pretty happy with our squad in terms of back 3 combinations or even loose forwards, because there's always changes in training. There's always guys moving around. Our analyst was on the wing at training the weekend. Even he's starting to get up to speed. So I think that's all part of having 31 players in the squad as well, and everyone getting up to that level.
サンケイスポーツの田中と申します。リングローズ選手にお願いします。日本の松島選手が、日本のいい形でボールを回して、スペースがあれば2トライ自分が取ると、言っておりました。日本の、アタックに関して、リングローズ選手個人的にどういうふうに止めるか、あるいはチームとしてバックスのチームとしてどういうふうにディフェンスするかというようなのを、もし答えられたら教えてください。
It'll be incredibly difficult with the strengths they have. I think you said it right there. As a team, that'll be the most important thing, because as individuals, we won't be able to stop some of the skill and speed they have, but it's to try and collectively be as good as we can to stop some of the threats that you mentioned. So that's in the contact, and then before it with the footwork and speed they have. So it'll be a combination of everything.
Garry, there's been so many flashpoints with contact and tackling. What's the player's view? Are you seeing it as a risk going to tackle now? Do you have to change the way you do things from what's happened in the last week or so?
don't really know. It's above my pay grade. That's sort of all the rules and regulations. But as a player, you don't really think about it too much. You visualize a million different types of tackles in different circumstances, and you play the game, and no two tackles are the same. So I think it's hard to articulate. You do have an awareness of where your limbs are. You try to. It can be tricky in the moment. That's why you sympathise with some players. You see them getting done when there mightn't have been intent, and then vice versa. But you have to have that awareness of where your limbs are, and how the ball carrier is shaping up really as well. So it's a challenge, but it's something that, you know, it's part of the game. It's like seeing soccer, and I'm talking about how football teams train with their hands behind their backs when they're defending. So there's an element of that when you train. You obviously can't go full on against each other, but you try and keep your arms in tight and think that you could have tackled cleanly and legally there, and try and bring that into the game then.
Peter, just can I ask you about the disappointment of having to come off early last weekend, the process you've gone through this week, and how you're feeling about going back out there and taking contact, everything that goes through tomorrow?
Yeah, look, it's not something that you plan. Obviously, you want to particularly, you know, your first, you know, it's my second World Cup, but the first one of the tournament, you know, wasn't ideal to be coming off that early, but as the Ringer said, it's part and parcel of rugby these days. You get through your return to play stuff, and you know, the S&C guys, the medical team are you know, they're well used to it at this stage. It's bread and butter for them, and they were very good. Passed all the protocols, so trained fully on Tuesday and was you know, ready to go. Obviously, I'm feeling fresh. Haven't only got 25 minutes or whatever I got, so I'm looking forward to playing tomorrow.
Blue shirt in the middle here.
ライターサイトですが、フィークさんにNEC で教えたこと経験がから日本の弱点とか日本のスクラムの組み方とかそういった情報をアイルランドのチームにこうプラスになったりすることをこう伝えたりしてるんでしょうか。
Hi. Yeah, it's a big learning. Been involved with NEC in the top league, and obviously you get an insight. You know, seeing how many players come from, say, Panasonic, you know, Shorehori. You know, there's a lot of, and Kobe Steelers who were successful last season, had a great season. And then obviously Suntory with Michishima there, and the guy there at halfback, how dangerous he can be. Yeah, I definitely got a good feel of the scrummaging, but also the general play and the combinations we talked about. You know, so that's obviously a big one for them. I still can't believe Luke Thompson is still playing. Subarashi.
J スポーツの大谷です。リングローズ選手にお伺いしたいんですが、セクストン選手が不在のバックスラインへの影響を教えてほしいのと、明日組むカーティ選手とどんなコンビネーションを見せたいか教えてください。
Yeah, obviously it's the way, as Greg was talking about, the adaptability of the squad is very important. And I mean, you've got to be ready to play with different combinations. So over the course of the pre-season before the World Cup arrived, in training especially, but then also in the pre-season friendlies, we would have had the chance to all play together, and each player has to be adaptable to play in any combination. So Jack is definitely more than ready to play and step up in his position. And then it's up for the centres, myself and Chris, to try and help him as much as possible and make his job as easy as possible around the park so he can focus on doing his job. but that's the challenge in any game, in any combination. Really, that's what you're trying to do.
NHK の国武です。選手お二人にお伺いします。相手日本は開催国ということでアドバンテージもあるし、会場がどんな雰囲気になるかお二人ともイメージされていると思うんですが、明日の試合に勝つための一番重要なポイントは何でしょうか。メンタル面でも技術面でも構いませんので、それぞれ教えてください。
I think it's hard to put 1 point or to make 1 point that will be the defining of the outcome tomorrow. I think we're 100% sure that it's going to take a huge performance from Ireland tomorrow to be able to compete and beat Japan tomorrow. It's not going to be one aspect of our play or our game. It's going to be probably all our aspects of our game need to be 100% tomorrow and fire well. We're fully aware of how dangerous this Japanese team is, how much experience they have, and how proud they are of playing for their nation tomorrow. Obviously, being the host nation and being at home, and as you said, it certainly is an advantage. So as a result, it's going to take a very complete performance from us tomorrow to put them under pressure and try and give us the chances to score some tries.
Yeah, just to echo Peter on what he said, that with how good they are, we know we're going to have to be at our best if we want to be successful. So that'll be the challenge for us.
申します。リグローズ選手に質問がありまして、松島選手とは2年前2試合ともセンターとウイングっていう形で対戦をしていますけども、そこから彼の成長したように見えるポイント、また脅威と思っているところのポイントをそれぞれ教えてください。
Well, him individually, and then thinking back to the game 2 years ago, as a collective, I know Japan would have been disappointed with their clinicalness and their ball retention. I think we got opportunities that they don't usually offer up in those 2 games, and certainly since then they don't offer up to teams. So in terms of him individually, he was obviously incredibly good back then, and he's gone from strength to strength with obviously his attacking capabilities and then also defensively with the reads he makes and defensive pressure Japan have put on teams. So yeah, I think that's right across the board. Himself and a few others have, as I was saying, are different beasts to what they were 2 years ago. So we're under no illusion of how difficult it's going to be.
Thank you.
グレッグさんにちょっとジョン・シュミットさんのことを聞きたいんですけど、2年前もそうだし今回も何度かシュミットさんの話を聞いてると非常に日本の選手の理解度が高くてですね、特にティア1チームで具体的に名前まで挙げて選手のキャラクターを話す監督ってジョン・シュミットさんしかいないんですけど、そういうシュミットさんのその選手を分析する能力って近くでご覧になってどんなふうに感じてるんですか？
Great question. Great question. Joe has the ability to watch rugby and learn players from other teams when he's speaking in a meeting, whether it's a Japanese team, an Italian team, a Georgian team, or any team in the world. He likes to know things, know names, so that we get clarity on position. So. That's just part of what we do, and I suppose attention to detail is something that as a team the players pride themselves on, but particularly Joe likes to know the opposition, and we want to. It's also a respect thing as well.
We'll take 2 more questions on tomorrow's match, and then we'll call it. In the middle.
フリーランス迎えています。失礼します。リングローさんに伺いたいんですけれども、アイルランド代表、外側のディフェンス、鋭く出てくるところがすごく特徴的だと思うんですが、出るときとそうでないときの判断というのはどのようにしてジャッジしているんでしょうか。
I think it's just with how you have to have a feel of how the game is going. Tactically, you have a plan going into a game of where there might be opportunities, but something, me personally, I'm learning the more I play is that it's not necessarily what goes to plan, or when you're out there isn't exactly what you would have expected. So it's very much trying to be as adaptable as possible, and the coaches I work with in Ireland here give you a toolkit to be able to adapt and cues to look for. So, you know what I mean, sometimes it's on to take it out wider and expose space out wide, but when a team is on top of you physically and has their defensive wit set, sometimes it might mean there's space in behind that you need to look for, and then equally if they've those bases covered and you're under pressure, you might need to go to an aerial challenge to try and relieve a bit of that pressure or gain a bit of momentum. So there's that and a whole host of other decisions that are that you have to make just depending on the situation or how the game's going, depending on the circumstance you're in during the game itself.
Last question. No more? We'll take one in the front. Last question.
Hi, Greg. Just on Jack, obviously, with it being a big game for him, I think that in some quarters people still seem to think that if Ireland don't have Johnny Sexton, there's a problem. But that's a facile view, isn't it? And obviously, this just it's a great chance for Jack, isn't it, to kind of and Joey probably, to sort of show that that's not the case anymore.
Yeah, 100%. Jack Hardy's been involved in all our games this year, and for that alone, it's huge amounts of growth, particularly when Johnny Sexton was World Player of the Year, and you're almost having a bit of osmosis with, like getting as much knowledge out of him as you can. Not to mention even Ringer as a leader in our team as well. You've got people around Jack that can make him such a big player. And then obviously with Joe, as was mentioned, Joe's analysis on our own players is at a point where Jack wouldn't have been in our squad all year, whether it's on the bench or coming or starting, if he didn't have the right tools to do what we need to do and understand the game and understand what fits our group for the diversity of how we may be able to have to play as well. And I think that shows, for me, is the character of Jack really, and ultimately is about him being able to come in and be overawed probably for the first few weeks. Even just walking next to Peter Armani for him would have been pretty surreal. And then to soak up all the detail and be able to action that, and now it's really just up to him. So I think he needs good. You've just reminded me. I just need to give him a big pat on the back and maybe make him a flat white when we get back to the hotel.